Thank you for visiting the YouTube channel for bestbiblecommentaries.com. In this video, I'd like to show you one of the best reviewed commentaries on the book of Romans. Before I do, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to this channel so you can see videos on Bible commentaries, study Bibles, and other resources that help people understand God's Word. New Testament scholar Ben Witherington III is the author of Paul's Letter to the Romans, a socio-rhetorical commentary. This volume was published in 2004. It is 422 pages in length. Dr. Witherington is a professor at Asbury Theological Seminary, where I believe he also oversees the doctoral program. The SRC series, or the Socio-Rhetorical Commentary series, is his own project. He is not the only one to write commentaries in the SRC series, but he writes most of them. He is a prolific author. He's written on the life of Jesus, the life of Paul. He wrote the Revelation volume in the New Cambridge Bible Commentary series, and he also wrote a John commentary on the Gospel of John, which I believe is a standalone commentary. Dr. Witherington was kind enough to do a question and answer with me on this particular volume for my website. I'll put a link to it in the description box down below, so after you're done watching this video, you can read more about this volume in the words of Dr. Witherington himself. Dr. Witherington is an evangelical, he is conservative, and he is Arminian. As he discusses in the preface to this commentary, there are not a lot of exegetical commentaries on the book of Romans from a Wesleyan Arminian interpretation. And so he wants, in part, one of his objectives with this volume is to offer those interpretations on the book of Romans, often contrary to Augustine, Luther. He disagrees with Luther in this volume quite a bit, and Calvin as well. The main point is not Arminian theology, but it comes up in many passages as he's commenting on the text. The example passage I'll show you comes from Romans chapter 5. Romans 5:12 through 21, and every passage begins with an introductory section that's usually just a few pages long, and then there's an original translation. Witherington provides his own English translation that he did himself on the book of Romans, and so it's in italics, and then he proceeds with the verse-by-verse commentary. Every passage in the commentary ends with a section called Bridging the Horizon. So if pastors are interested in using this commentary, I think you'll find this section very helpful. Or if teachers, anybody in a ministry context that's looking to not just communicate the exegesis, but is looking to make application of the text, then this Bridging the Horizons section is going to be very helpful. I'll give you an example from this section on Romans 5:12 through 21. Witherington writes, "There is certainly a lot of talk about brokenness in Christian circles today. This is hardly surprising when just as many Christian marriages as non-Christian marriages end in divorce. We have broken hearts, broken homes, broken promises, and broken marriages. And the question is, can they really be fixed? All this brokenness is but a manifestation of the general human brokenness, which has at its root, the ultimate human dilemma of the breakdown of our relationship with God and the sad effects of that broken relationship." And so anyway, Witherington goes on to elaborate on that topic and how it relates to Romans chapter 5. But as you can see, he is lifted the discussion out of the first century, and he's seeking to build a bridge to modern day application. So this Bridging the Horizons is one of the features in the commentary, and then there's another feature that comes up often in the commentary, and I wanted to show you an example of that. It is called a closer look. So at different points in the commentary, Witherington kind of writes a side essay that's usually a few pages long. This one is about 2.5 pages long, and it's just a way for Witherington to talk about a particular topic that comes up in the text. So this one's titled A Closer Look: Predestination, Election, Salvation, and Apostasy in Early Judaism. So in this section, he is interacting with biblical scholarship on that particular topic. Not every section called A Closer Look is about interacting with biblical scholarship on a theological issues. They can vary, but there are several of these Closer Look sections, which just enables Witherington to discuss in depth a topic that is related to a particular passage that he's talking about. So a couple of reviews that I'll mention on this particular volume. In the Covenant Quarterly Journal, Lars Stromberg said that this volume is potentially groundbreaking. He said it's balanced, reverent, and insightful. As far as the target audience goes, the reviewer said that this volume will assist scholars, students, and pastors in exegesis, historical analysis, and in theological interpretation. So that's pretty high praise. In the Reformed Theological Review, remember this, Witherington is Arminian, so I thought it would be interesting to look at a Reformed review. In the journal, the Reformed Theological Review, the conclusion of the article is, the Book of Romans is a rich mine for the exegete. Witherington has produced a stimulating guide through its riches with many flashes of insight along the way. And I'll just say that prior to that conclusion, which I thought was very friendly and very cordial, the reviewer did take note that Witherington does disagree a lot with some of the reformers, in particular Martin Luther, but the conclusion of the review was saying that there is a lot of insight on the book of Romans in this volume that Witherington provides. The example passage that I will discuss is related to the theology that I've been talking about, the conversation about Reformed and Arminian scholarship in relation to the book of Romans. So relevant to that conversation is Romans 9, chapter 9 through 11. And it's not surprising that Witherington takes a corporate view of election with regard to these chapters as Arminians would. He says here on page 246, he says the discussion of election in chapters 9 through 11 is a discussion of corporate election in the midst of which there are individual rejection by some and selection for historical purposes of others. So that's just kind of one of those statements that I thought did a good job of articulating Witherington's big picture view on Romans 9, chapters 9 through 11. There's one other brief preview that I will give as well. And that's at the end of the passage on Romans 9 through 11. In the Bridging the Horizons section, where he's seeking to make application, he says, prejudice in any age is an ugly sin, and Paul deals with just such prejudice in chapters 9 through 11. His largely Gentile audience seemed to follow the normal Roman understanding of Jews, namely that Jews are an inferior race, and more to the point, a religiously inferior race. The great danger after the Edict of Claudius in AD 49 was that Gentile Christians in Rome would believe that God had quite rightly rejected his first chosen people for people like themselves. So Paul must offer a tour de force argument to counter such prejudice, which is combined in a deadly amalgam with bad theology. The truth is that such battles have to be fought and won in every generation of human history because humanity is still a fallen lot. So that corporate view of election characterizes Witherington's interpretation and his application of Romans chapter 1 through 9. So I hope this video has been helpful to you in understanding more about this commentary on Romans. Thank you for watching it. I'll put more information in the description box down below. Thank you for visiting bestbiblecommentaries.com.